So the reissue of Fanstoys Phoenix is shipping right now. I figured this would be a great time to have a discussion about the Fanstoys Phoenix and how much better it is than Daca Kronos. But before we get into all this fun stuff, you're listening to the Tideherium Hangar, where we talk about vintage to modern, Star Wars, Transformers, anything else you want to talk about, and some video game stuff. So if you have not subscribed, go ahead and subscribe. And please press a like on this video. So let's move into this. So the first thing I want to talk about is price, because that's what everybody's most sensitive to, and Phoenix has been skyrocketing. But let's talk about Kronos' price. So Daca Kronos is this one right here, or that one right there. Yes, I got two of them because I got a deal on them. But anyhow, he was released years ago, and I think 2014, around that time frame, for $160. And then the price on him, once he sold out at the distributors, went through the roof. And I never saw them clearance them out. I never saw it get any cheaper, but I know that they wanted to get rid of the stock because there were a lot of returns from QC issues, and which makes me wonder. Now, there's not a whole lot of them out there that are for sale with QC issues, because I think all the ones, like someone spent 160 bucks, it falls apart on them, they send it back and get another one, or they just get their money back. But then the price skyrocketed to $400 on this guy, or higher on Kronos. And so I went ahead and spent, $280 on my Phoenix, which is $60 more than MSRP. And I think it was worth it. But is it worth that much more than Kronos? And we're going to get into that and figure that one out. Now, I picked this little guy up. He's called Sky Guardian. And if you can see how much shorter he is than the other ones, all the other options. And so he's not a masterpiece option. He never was, but he would fit well in a G1 or Chug scale. And he is taller than the actual G1 Jetfire, but he looks more like Skyfire. So he doesn't look great, he looks okay, you can identify the character, but that's yet another option. So the first comparison I want to make is with their hands. And with Daca Kronos, you have very thin little fingers that are prone to break and fall off very easily. So I treat mine with very tender kid gloves, so that doesn't happen to mine. I've heard lots of reports about fingers falling off. In fact, we can go through the whole list of everything here in a minute that is a QC issue. But you can see with Fanstoys, the fingers go in and out, and you don't have to, it just doesn't feel like it's gonna break. It's real fragile. Those felt like they were gonna break messing with them. And yeah, of course the Fanstoys one's nice and sturdy. I'm just moving it around, but these hands are much better for articulation and much better for not breaking. Make a nice fist. Next thing I want to talk about is size. As you can see, Phoenix is taller, and I don't know what, an inch and a half, 2 inches taller, but they both work on a masterpiece shelf in my opinion. So let's go ahead and drop down Magic Square, which MP10 or all the prime options. MP44 will be about the same size, and so is the Transform Element. They're all about the same size, give or take a fraction of an inch. But you can see that with Prime, that guy looks fine with them, and this guy looks fine with them. They all look okay in my opinion as masterpiece options. But we've got a lot of talk about the Hasbro one coming out, and the Hasbro one's going to be 11 inches. So that's 11 inches right there. You see 11 inches? It's right at the bottom of my device there. And that, to me, doesn't feel right. 11 inches does not feel right. That's not a tall enough Jetfire in my opinion. So, I don't know. The Hasbro Jetfire says it's going to be 11 inches, but yet I can't see it being, it's going to be a little bit taller than this guy. So next I'm going to talk about aesthetic and put a Jetfire Skyfire still up here. And as you can see from the top of the head, well, the head sculpt is not that great on Kronos. So that's a negative. Fanstoys looks wonderful. I don't think it's 100% tune accurate, but it still, in my opinion, looks a lot better than what you're getting with Kronos. And then moving down, they all have the same cues. The backpack and the wings, similar. The shoulders are rounded like they should be from the animation model. The chest, all this down the center. All this looks right. All this matches right up. So that works. The aesthetic cues with the paint schemes, the paint apps. So what Daca Toys did well is they matched the cartoon animation well. That's what Daca did. And to put it on a shelf and to pose it, it looks good. So Fanstoys does look a little bit better. I like the way this midsection was done a lot better. It just looks more, it's tighter. It looks more correct to me. Looking down at the feet, these feet come out like actual feet. These are a little bit stubby and underneath. It's not that big of a deal with the Kronos one, but it's just something to point out. Like these look more like a foot, and that looks like just stubby feet syndrome. Here they are from the back, and I really didn't point this out so much yet, but I do love transparent plastic versus just the painted windshield, which this looks okay, and actually the painted windshield you could say looks toon-ish, but I think that the backpack's done way better over here on this guy. And then moving on over to, or down the lower area, you get some heel spurs there, and you sort of, this guy's plenty stable, you sort of get some heel spurs on that guy, but they kind of go straight down. It's not, he's stable. I mean, obviously Fanstoys is stable, but this has bigger heel spurs to add to his stability, so he's not an unstable bot. The Daca Toys Kronos is not super unstable. And there's a better look at how big those heel spurs are. Like, look at that. Doesn't that look like it'd be stable? I do want to point out some paint apps. They did kind of paint on the Daca Toys to match the armor kind of way of the G1 toy. I don't really think that's so much animation accurate, but I do think that's a nice homage to the toy and just kind of gives you a little, makes it a little bit interesting. I don't know. I like the Fanstoys one, but I like things like this too, so it's kind of a tough one there. Next, we're going to talk about the build quality, and Fanstoys is far superior in build quality. Now, I was surprised because everybody talked about how Fanstoys felt so much more solid and was so much better, and I just didn't feel like the Fanstoys one had as much diecast as I thought it would, to tell you the truth. So, a lot of people associate weight with quality, which is not 100% association, but there's a little bit to it. So let's get with that. Okay, so let's start and weigh Kronos. And here is the Daca Toys Kronos. You hear that metal feet clanking? It is 36.6 ounces. So 2 pounds and some change, 4 ounces. Fanstoys weighs 48.3 ounces. So you're looking at a big boy. And he does weigh a little bit more, but not as much more as I thought he would. So the QC issues with the Kronos include ankle rocker issues. Literally, if you use the ankle rockers, the ankles break off. That was an issue. Fingers pop off. The head, I actually, on mine here, I had to glue the head back on, which wasn't a big deal to me. I mean, everything still works and functions properly like it's supposed to. I just had to put a little glue on there to seat it back in. And I think it maybe just wasn't glued in the first place and it should have been. Then you also have issues with ratchets. Some of the places that are supposed to have ratchets are missing ratchets. You have all kinds of QC issues. Very few QC issues on that guy. I'm sure there'll be like 1%. But, well, I think that this guy is worth the money. And I paid the late tax price by waiting. So it's just going to get more expensive from here. Anyway, let me know what you think. If you have Daca Kronos, what do you think of them? Do you pose them on a shelf and make them look good? What do you think about Fanstoys Phoenix? Do you have him? And my last prediction is if Takara makes one, I think Takara actually will do better. Like, subscribe, and Titanium Hanger out.